7, 8.
Church music for dummies. Over time, church music has greatly evolved into what we have known today and what we sing in Mass. You see, back in Bible times, music was crucial and vital to the stories that we know today. Musicians would include harpists and lyrists. Okay, Bradley, explain the importance of music in ministry.
Well, from the biblical aspect, music is important in ministry because if you go research it in 2 Kings chapter 4, the story is these leaders of these nations were being attacked. So they went to go find guidance from God, and one of I believe it was the servants, came to the leader at the time saying, "Oh, Elisha, the prophet, is nearby," or they knew that Elisha was a prophet of God, that he would speak on God's behalf. So, with that being, the leaders went to Elisha, and they asked Elisha to speak on God's behalf on what they need to do in the situation. So Elisha said, "No, just flat out no. I'm not going to speak for God unless." Well, first he said no because he didn't like some of the leaders, but one of the leaders, I forgot his name off the top of my head, I completely forgot. But he had respect for him because he was a godly man. Out of all the leaders, one of them was a godly man, and he respected that. So after him saying flat out no, he said, "Bring me a musician, bring me a harpist." So the reason why he said that is in the scriptures it says, as soon as the musician or the harpist started playing, the power of God fell upon Elisha. And then from there, Elisha spoke what God's plan was for those leaders. So the reason why music is so important for ministry is because music actually is the catalyst or the initial step forward to usher in the presence of God, literally ushering the presence of God. Because that's why they always have worship. If you think about it, people order their services in church with music right before the message. So that's why when people are so engaged in the presence of God is because the worship leaders have they've just been in the presence of God personally. So now they're speaking out publicly to speak into the lives of the congregation, to usher in the presence of God. So that's why music is so important to ministry. It's because music actually can bring the presence of God and the power for the preacher who is up next after him. And that can be just for anything. It doesn't have to be for a church. It can be for a little hangout sesh at somebody's house where you can play a couple of worship songs and literally the presence of God will show up. And then you guys have this awesome night of fellowship. But yes, music is important for ministries because it literally can usher in the presence of God.
As Bradley said, the importance of church music stems all the way back to Bible times. With that said, the book of Psalms, if you think about it, is really just a book of songs. You see, the psalmist wrote a book of hymns that applied to him and his daily life, or her and her daily life, and the daily lives of the people around them. And to this very day, the book of Psalms is still used, and it's a key vital part during the Mass. We use the Psalms during the Mass, and we use the Psalms for meditation, and we use the Psalms for tons of different things. You see, music itself stems all the way back to Bible times, and it is deeply rooted in the church services today, and is deeply rooted in our masses, and it is deeply rooted in our society today. After this time period, the next few centuries introduced what is known as the Great Debate. Traditionalists and modernists debated on whether or not there should be music in the church, and if so, what it should look like. At first, music was banned in the church, but as years progressed, the monks introduced what was known as the Gregorian chant. The Gregorian chant was a rendition of music solely by vocals, which included absolutely no instruments. Traditionalists, of course, were against this. They wanted to continue using their psalms and their hymns, but modernists were completely for the use of Gregorian chants. And to this day, Gregorian chants is a method of meditation and is continued to be used throughout the world and throughout the church today. We have come a long way from Gregorian chants. Throughout that period of time, the church has introduced new methods of music. One includes harmonies, and two is the inclusion of instruments.
If you listen to the songs that we sing in church today, and they've got the drums, they've got the guitars, they got all the instruments playing, and the music is beautiful. And now it's really a call to the youth, getting the youth involved. What's the beat that we hear outside of the church that moves us? It's the same beat that moves us in the church, that same spiritual call. It's all about how that music reaches the depths of your soul and finds that joy for the individual person. So yes, I think that, while music is evolving, you still have to have your classics and you have to have that base. And from the classics are formed the new and modern music, the contemporary music. And all has its place. As long as it is praising God and serving God, then it is it is a beautiful thing. It's wonderful. So yes, I am for the new music. I'm for the old music. I think it's necessary to have an evolution of music. It's necessary.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Music became contemporary because it needed to appeal to the needs of the people.
Okay, Evelise, how do you think music has progressed throughout the years, and do you think it's for the better or for the worse?
Well, I personally think that music has changed a lot, and I think it's for the better. For instance, music used to be more hymns and slow, and that's good, but now it's more contemporary and a little bit faster, and it just, I think, really speaks more to this generation. So I think it's for them.
And so, what started off as just simple conflict has grown and has become something so much greater and so much more. Music in the church has an amazing impact on our lives and on the lives of every single person that's present in the Mass. Everyone appeals to their own kind of music, and the move towards contemporary music was geared towards this generation. But the bottom line is, music is more than just music. It's a form of prayer. You use music when words itself can't explain.
For me, I look at music as an opportunity to prepare you for receiving that message and also, entering into the holy place. I look at music as far as an opportunity to praise, God and thank God through song, and to give us, that one universal language in praise. That same song that of Amazing Grace, or that same song that is sang, that we sing here, is also, you'll also hear it in another language across the world. And I think it's beautiful because it's all